It's telling me I'm going live, and I think now we are actually good to go. This feels so weird because I have not gone live in forever. Instagram might be giving me some problems, but let me see if I can figure that out. Trying to get it going to a couple of different places here. Looks like Instagram might have a slight delay, so I'm sorry as far as that is concerned. But nevertheless, we're going to get it done, people. So just bear with me. Come on into the room. I hope you all are doing well. Of course, it is me, Coach V, coming before you for this week's live training video. I know I would go live and then I started doing them pre-recorded just because of time. It was easier, but I was like, you know what? Let's spruce it up just a little bit. Let's start doing some liveness as far as things are concerned. So just want to make sure that we're all good. See if all of my connections are working with me. I think we are good. So let's go ahead and get into it. Again, I am Coach V. I am the New Left Strategist. Welcome. Every week I try to provide an MIT training video. That stands for Motivation, Inspiration, and Transformation. I am that is here to help my single Christian ladies when it comes to finding their person. Everything I do is about that, okay? In this training video, what we are actually going to be talking about is something that I believe many Christian women missing in their love lives. And honestly, it's something that nobody really taught us, if we're going to be completely honest. I know that many women have prayed. They've gone to therapy, which is great. They journal, they healed, they fasted, right? They've done all of these things. They've read the books. They've done something that I am big on, which is becoming self-aware. But yet what I'm realizing is that a lot of women are still struggling with the same dating frustrations. I hear the frustrations when people drop comments on posts and videos, when people hop into the DMs. A lot of you send emails. Listen, you can be, or at least become, emotionally aware, but you might still not yet know how to actually navigate relationships wisely. So this training is all about that. It's about awareness. It's about alignment. It is about strategy. I'm going to be speaking a lot, dropping some things in a short matter of time. I would definitely highly recommend just listen to it the first time all the way through. And if you're someone who needs a little bit more in order for it to really stick, then go back another time and actually have a handy dandy notebook with you. All right. But listen, I want everyone to realize healing absolutely matters, right? But even though healing matters, healing alone is not the full picture. Healing by itself is not going to get you to where it is that you want to be when it comes to dating and when it comes to a healthy relationship. And what I encounter are a lot of single Christian women who they stay stuck even though they've quote unquote done the work, right? A lot of women assume, oh, well, if I heal enough, then the right relationship is going to naturally find me. I'm going to be good to go. God's going to bless me. God's going to reward me for the efforts that I put forth. But awareness alone does not automatically change behavior. That's what some people fail to realize, because a lot of women who say that they've healed, that they've done the work, they oftentimes recognize red flags. They a lot of times know attachment styles. They understand trauma. They identify the toxic men and the men who are emotionally unavailable, yet these women still go on to repeat a lot of the same emotional patterns. And psychologically speaking, if we're going to talk about that, to understand this, and I talk about this a lot, the brain is wired, right, to connect and adapt to whatever is familiar. Familiarity is a thing. Your brain is wired towards whatever feels familiar, what you are used to, what you are to. That is your nervous system at work. But the thing is, familiar does not always mean healthy. Just because it seems like it's something that you've experienced before, it feels familiar, it does not mean that that is a good thing for you. And if you have any unhealed emotional patterns that are still present, those things can actually still influence your attraction. See, a woman can consciously want love. She can feel like she's ready for it. She has a deep desire and craving for it, but yet she will still subconsciously feel drawn to emotional inconsistency in a man. Why? Because it feels familiar to her nervous system. That's why it's like, yeah, a woman can say, I want better. I need to leave this type of men alone, or these type of men alone. I need to do better. But yet every time that same kind of man comes right back again, she feels drawn to it. And that's because it's what she is accustomed to. A lot of times women will confuse chemistry with alignment. They think just because they feel something that that man is their person. A lot of times women go on and they attach way too quickly emotionally, but yet they haven't even taken the time to observe that man and to figure out what his character is about, what he's all about, whatever. Here lately, I've been chatting with a lot of women who are hell bent on getting clarity so early in a situation, but it's like they want clarity immediately, and it's only because uncertainty dysregulates them. If they don't feel clarity, or if there's no clarity, if they don't feel secure in that situation, it will cause their emotions to literally spiral out of control. I realize that a lot of you are also over spiritualizing emotional intensity. You think just because you feel something so deeply that it must be a God thing. A lot of women, a lot of you, if we're going to be honest, it's not that you lack healing, it's that you lack structure. That brings us to something that is super important. We need to talk about the difference between healed, healing, and positioned. Three completely different things. Because healing, that just means that you're becoming a little bit more aware, right? You're becoming more self-aware. It means that you're processing pain, things from the past, things from your childhood. You're understanding more of your wounds and things like that. You're learning yourself. You're doing great in the area of building up your self-worth, your self-love. Great. That is what healing is, okay? Healing, more towards the healed side, I'll say, but the point when it's really like an ongoing thing where like you're really, really serious about it, this is when you're catching yourself in old habits. This is when you are learning emotional regulation. This is where you are applying wisdom consistently. This is where you are willing to walk away from anything that feels familiar in a bad way. This is where you are ready to dismiss anything that is toxic, unavailable in any way, or misaligned. The ongoing healing that I'm talking about here, it is that continued growth that is taking place. So that is a good place to be, okay? Positioned is the goal. That is where you really want to be, where you are dating intentionally, where you are using discernment, you are actually applying what you know to be true. Are good when it comes to slowing down emotionally speaking, because a lot of you are just, again, ready to dive on in because you want to be in a relationship. You don't really think to ask the right questions. You overlook the red flags. You justify a man's behavior. No, when you are positioned, you walk away, you slow down, you observe, you pay attention. You're seeing if this man is actually consistent and available. You walk away from confusion and you do not feel guilt. You align your behaviors with your behavior with your standards, okay? Healing is what helps you actually understand why you struggled in the past with dating, why maybe you stayed too long in a situation or a relationship that you shouldn't have. Positioning is what changes how you move as a single woman in this season. And listen, as Christian women, we know Proverbs talks so much about discernment, wisdom, and what we really need to understand is that wisdom is more than just knowledge. Like even the Bible talks about our spiritual gifts. Like wisdom and knowledge are two different things anyway. But wisdom is not about just knowledge. Wisdom is about application. It's saying, I have the knowledge of this. I'm wise to understand what it means. And therefore, my actions are going to reflect this accordingly. Because you can know truth and still not apply truth relationally speaking. And this is what is hindering a lot of women today. This is where so many women are unintentionally sabotaging themselves. And emotional habits, a lot of these emotional habits that I'm going to talk about, they will sabotage your discernment, because discernment is when you feel something's off about him, the relationship, something he said, something he did, whatever. Discernment is like being able to detect those things. But if you have certain emotional habits, if you have certain things that you have not dealt with, certain you have not healed from, then those habits are going to sabotage the discernment. And I mean habits such as overthinking, because sometimes discernment is saying, hey, you need to leave this situation. This guy is not who you think he is. This relationship is not where you think going to go. But you will find yourself overthinking and even trying to talk yourself out of walking away from something, or over analyzing all of his behaviors, or maybe something that he said, instead of actually taking action on what it is that you already be true. Another habit would be hyper attachment. A lot of you are getting attached way too quickly. Again, I can the amount of women that I've spoken to recently who have recently started dating a man, and I shouldn't even say dating. I mean, more like in the early talking stages and phases, right? It's so early with the man. In some cases, no real date has even taken place. But here it is, this woman is already hyper attached to him, to the outcome, to the potential, to the possibility. She's trying to read him, trying to dissect every single thing, trying to figure out where it's going. No. Fantasy bonding is another habit. Panicking anytime there's a shift in communication with someone. Needing immediate clarity and certainty is another habit. Romanticizing potential instead of realizing that potential is not manifesting and deciding that you are going to walk away. Over explaining red flags. Those are all emotional habits that will end up sabotaging discernment. So, a little bit of nervous system insight is realizing that if you have an insecure attachment style, specifically an anxious attachment style, then anxiety is what wants that quick reassurance. You have a fear of being abandoned. You are tired of being alone, right? Maybe it's like you have that craving for love and belonging and things like that, which we are wired for, but it will cause you to really want that reassurance that it's real with someone, that it's not going to end poorly or end like your past relationships. Discernment, going back to that, that is when you are wise enough to realize that you need to observe a man over time. You are going to pay attention to his patterns, his behavior, seeing how he treats others, what kind of fruit he is displaying. Is he a good person? How does he treat other people, right? You're paying attention to all of those things. But if you are emotionally dysregulated, then that's going to make you rush emotionally speaking. That dysregulated nervous system, it struggles to really sit still long enough so that you can discern and figure out what is going on here. And a lot of women, what I will say is that a lot of women, they come across a man that they don't even really know yet. They don't really fully know him, what he's about, none of those things. But it's like they already got the wedding colors picked out in their head. They already got their bestie calling this man their brother. You're already planning couples trips and double dates, these things, but you don't even really know him. And that's because you're allowing your emotions to lead. And when emotions lead, that is when discernment starts to weaken. That is when your standards start bending a little bit. That's when your logic gets overridden. Like, even though your mind and your brain is telling you, but it's like you will override all of that. This is also when women start trying to force clarity prematurely. It's because you're being led by your emotions. So the key is that you have to date differently. That is the only thing that is going to land you in a healthy relationship. I'm glad you asked the question. How do I date differently? Listen, dating differently means intentional dating. That is going to require structure. And structure is pacing. Structure is boundaries. Structure is wisdom. Structure is standards, observation, discernment, consistency, emotional self-control. And I know it's something that a lot of women lack, but it's like, I feel like the church taught a lot about, and even still now, talks a lot about waiting, not enough about dating. So a lot of women learned the basics, or a lot of women learned survival, but they have no clue when it comes to healthy relationship navigation. So we have a lot of women today who are emotionally intelligent, but relationally, they're completely unstructured, and they're going based off of feelings and emotion. Listen, feelings are nothing but information, but they are not always instruction. So you want to become an intentional woman in this season. If it's like, hey, like I'm working on myself, I'm doing the work, I really want to be in a healthy relationship. That is a good goal to have. It means that now, though, you need to become intentional. And intentional means that you are going to observe patterns. It means that you are not going to rush exclusivity. It means you're not going to try to prove yourself to a man. You're not going to go out of your way to get him to like you, because instead you're going to sit back and learn this man so that you can figure out, do you even like him? That's the biggest question to be asked, right? Being intentional means that you're not going to ignore any type of confusion. It means you are going to allow time to reveal a man's character. You are going to evaluate his actions and not just his words. If you want a healthy relationship, know this: a healthy relationship that actually requires foundation, intentionality, and wisdom. And honestly, there are three things that women really, really need. One of them being emotional regulation. Again, not reacting prematurely or impulsively, not panicking over uncertainty, all of that good stuff. Going back to discernment, that being the second thing that you need, it means that you are observing and you're paying attention to reality and not fantasy. It means you're going to see if this man is consistent, not just if you feel chemistry. You're going to go based on his patterns, not just his potential. That's what using discernment is all about. And then the third thing that you might need would be, not might be, the third thing you do need is a dating strategy. Too many of you are just out here just trying and seeing what might stick, what might happen. And I know that a lot of women never learned intentional dating. That is why I make it my mission to help women with that. A lot of women date emotionally instead of strategically, and it's why you end up in the same cycles and habits that are getting you nowhere. That's what happens when you rely on vibes and not wisdom, okay? But strategy, again, goes back to pacing, observing, having standards, vetting a man, looking and testing his, testing him by his fruits. It's going to have emotional awareness. It means you know how to communicate. You're going to pay attention to alignment. All of those things go under strategy. And this is where a lot of times many women end up becoming frustrated with God, because it's like you're praying, you're not getting results, nothing is taking place in your love life. But prayer without actually positioning is what leads to your frustration. Prayer matters, absolutely. Healing matters, absolutely. Faith matters, 100%. But your behaviors matter also. In my podcast that I recorded, what was that, yesterday? Sometime this week, I don't know. But one of the examples I was talking was Abraham and Sarah, right? Like, we all know the story about them in the Bible. We know that God came, gave them a promise, and the delay in that promise started to create a little bit of discomfort inside of them. That discomfort then created a little bit of control. Sarah decided, hey, it's happening. I'm supposed to take matters into our own hands. Go ahead and have sex with my slave. Gave him Hagar. Hagar and Abraham had sex. Hagar got pregnant. Sarah started mistreating Hagar. Hagar ran away, had an encounter with God. God said, go back, endure the treatment from your master. And of course, we know that Ishmael ended up being born. There was all of this chaos, right? And a lot of people don't even realize, like, it's from Abraham that we have the three greatest religions in the world that all came from the things that he, and the sex and the not waiting, but I'm not even going to get into all of that. I want to tie this back into dating, because at the same time, God may have made a promise. You're becoming a little impatient because it has not yet actually taken place. And now this is where you'll start trying to force relationships. This is where you start trying to take matters into your own hand. This is where you entertain misalignment. This is where you start settling. This is where you're lonely and frustrated. So you're, pursuing clarity and trying to see where you stand with someone. You start making all of these fear-based decisions. You can't pray for healthy love, but then have unhealthy habits and unhealthy patterns. You can't say you want something healthy while choosing a lot of the unhealthy dynamics. See, God can prepare you spiritually for love, but wisdom is what teaches you how to navigate it. Okay? Wisdom will teach you how to navigate what it is that you are actually praying for. Listen, this is why I created a line for love. Y'all stay tuned, because in June, we're going big, okay? A line for love is not just about healing. It's not about motivation. It's not about relationship advice. It is going to be a 9 guided process that is going to help women when it comes to identifying their patterns, becoming emotionally aligned, learning how to date intentionally. We're going to shift those behaviors, develop discernment, and we're going to stop the cycles that have just kept you going a little bit of nowhere, right? It's going to be for the woman who is actually tired of simply understanding her patterns and knowing her why for everything. But it's for the woman who's saying, I'm finally ready to change those things. So y'all just make sure y'all stay tuned as far as that. All right. Listen, I know that a lot of you are not lacking desire for love. You're lacking alignment. You're lacking structure, and you're lacking intentionality. That is the missing link between healing and an actual healthy relationship. That is the missing link. Alignment, structure, discernment, and intentionality. So if you know that you're struggling in this area, I want to invite you to Monday's webinar. We are doing Why You're Still Single, 3 hidden blocks that are keeping you from kingdom love. Inside of it, I'm going to be going deep. All right. I'm going deeper with uncovering those hidden blocks so that you have a clear picture on what it is that you need to work on. I'm going to be helping women when it comes to identifying what's keeping them stuck. And we're just going to talk about a little bit of everything. All right. You can secure your spot for this. I'll put it in the comments. It's www.thenewlovecollective.com/webinar. I have space for you and you want to be in the room. But understand this as I end this, because I didn't want to talk too long. God may prepare you for love spiritually. I already said that, right? Wisdom is what is going to teach you how to navigate it. So it is time for you to get wisdom in this season. Nothing that any of us should be lacking, because the word says what? If any of you lacks wisdom, all you have to do is ask for it. Ask God for wisdom. He will lead you in this season. He will show you the steps that are necessary for you to take so that you can do exactly what needs to be done, so that you can win at love, so that you can find yourself in that healthy relationship. All right. I'm here if you need me. Again, Coach V here with your weekly MIT training video. Come back, watch it again, take your notes, do the work, but make sure you are in Monday's webinar so that you can get a little bit more help in this season. All right. But y'all take care and enjoy your weekend, and I will see you another time. Bye.